All right, so welcome to this video. We already made a video where we drew the organic shape of the leaf. Now this video is about rendering the leaf. The film is sped up at 700 speed. It's still a 20 plus minute video, but if I go any faster, I don't think you're going to get anything out of it. So this is about as fast as I think I could speed it up where you guys can still see what's going into rendering this leaf. There's a couple of things I want to point out. So once you have your major landmarks and lines put in place, in this case it'd be like the veins for the leaf. The next thing you want to do is you want to locate, okay, what are my darkest values? And you want to map those out. And then what you can do also is lightly map out your medium values and know that everything else is going to be a light value. So right here, I'm just going in and mapping things in. Now, I'll be honest, when I started rendering, I really didn't have a solid plan in here. And as I move up on the leaf, the rendering does get better. But I think that's also part of a good part of the video, because you'll find that when you're doing your illustration, you're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to have to make changes. And my only recommendation would be to maybe trace a portion of what you're going to do and practice rendering on that portion. So if this was going to be for like a final illustration or something that I wanted to do that was going to be framed later, like a really nice piece of artwork that I might enter into a show, I would trace part of it onto a separate piece of paper. I'd make sure that paper is similar, if not the same type of paper, and I would practice rendering techniques of how I'm going to attack it and how I'm going to approach it, rather than just figuring it out. But in this case, it's a demo, so I really wasn't concerned with that, and I did it in my sketchbook just so I could have it. I took a picture with the hover cam at the end, so you can see that end result. It came out pretty well for something that I was racing through and trying to get done as fast as possible. I think it actually came out decent. If I had the chance and the time, there are things that I would go in and make adjustments on, but that's part of figuring things out. Sometimes you got to rush through things faster than you'd like to meet a deadline. And in this case, I'm trying to get videos done in time so you guys could see them and see the approach. So right now I'm just starting to build my values. One thing I always recommend, now I mapped out my darkest values, but I never go right into the darkest values on here. I want to make visual adjustments on the value scale because this is off a colored leaf. One shortcut that you can take is you can take a colored object. So in this case, this leaf, you could scan it. And if you have a program like Photoshop or any other type of editing software for pictures, you could add a black and white filter to it or convert it to a black and white image. And that's going to give you all your various values. For this one, though, I was looking at a colored image, and I'm just kind of eyeballing my values and making my adjustments. The converting it to black and white, it's easier. It's easier to do, but you don't always have that option. Sometimes you're drawing from life, and it's good to be able to make your adjustments with your eyes. And there's other techniques, and there's value cards that you can buy at an art store, and you can lay that value card on your illustration and compare to see how light and dark your values really are. One of the things that our eyes do is our eyes make adjustments, and our eyes can trick us because we optically take things and we can blend values, right? That's what our eyes do, and sometimes we can trick ourselves. So there are tools out there. So this is going to be the difficult part. I want you to watch this. Try to absorb as much as you can. Understand that as you're learning and moving, your techniques might be slightly different. Your approach might be slightly different. but it takes practice. Again, if I were to do this again a second time, I'd have a better idea of how I'm going to attack it, and it would probably improve. The question is, do I want to invest that time? And I don't, because this is a demo. Anytime I'm working on stuff, especially like a project, if it's time intensive, I like to do other things. I like to step away. And the trick is not to step away too long to where you forget what you're doing or you forget how you got there. But sometimes you need to take a break just to, get away from it and then be able to come back with a new perspective. And you'll find out that when you come back and look at it later, you might see a lot of mistakes that you made or things that you can fix if it's a digital illustration. So again, as I move up, I'm mapping out my values. I'll apologize right now. I'm going to pause sometimes when speaking, and I don't have any copyright-free music to put on here. So you're going to have some portions of silence because this is a 20-minute video. And now that the values are going in, you can kind of see where I mapped out everything, and you can see how those map lines work. And that's for all the little crinkles and folds that you're going to see in a leaf. Green leaves, leaves that are still on the tree and alive, you're not going to get a whole lot of variation. It's going to be pretty much flat value. That's why the fall is so great, because you get all these leaves that come in different colors and have different values and wrinkles and different rates of decay. And those tend to be the fun leaves to draw. Like, I really don't have an interest in drawing, regular green leaves. They don't have a whole lot of interest visually. I'm doing this in pencil because we're learning how to render. We're learning how to render organic shapes and forms with graphite or a pencil. If I wanted to really do something cool with this, I'd probably do it in watercolor, or I could even do it in color pencil. Now, color pencil, you definitely would want to trace some of this on a different piece of paper, and you want to find your 4 or 5 values in color pencils that you want to use. So you're talking like your reds, your yellow oranges, your oranges, maybe an ochre color, which is kind of like a brownish yellow. And that's if you have nice color pencils, right? So if you have like nice Prismacolors where you have a ton of variations of colors, you're going to want to experiment to find the 4 or 5 colors that you can work with and blend and create other values with or other colors with by blending and mixing. If you're using a cheap set of color pencils like a Crayola 12-pack, you have to understand you're going to be limited in what you can do. And then you're just going to have to deal with it. I probably would not do something like this with a basic 12-pack of color pencils. Here's a quick tip. When I started this, I just happened to start on the right-hand side of the leaf because visually it was a little bit easier because I had a few more elements to look at in shadows. So my hand's relatively free, right? It's not touching the paper, but when I have to go draw the left-hand side, I'm going to have to put a piece of paper underneath my hand so I'm not smudging it all over the place. And even doing that, the paper I used, I looked at the bottom, it smudged a bit. Not as bad as if I would have my hand down. I think it's just because I just grabbed kind of like this waxy paper, and I probably should have used regular paper underneath my hand. Normally I would start left and work my way to right because I am right-handed. And I'm basically just mimicking the process that I did on the right hand side. I'm finding all my little landmarks. I'm finding all my dark values. I'm indicating where those go. Anytime I do a dark value, I generally put it about 2 to 3 values lighter than I want it to be, because I know I'm going to go back in and make my adjustment with my values. Once I have a solid plan, okay, what's my lightest value, what's my darkest value, and what are all my midtones. Once I have that plan of attack, then it's easier for me to go in and start adjusting. One major thing I don't know if you guys will catch because the video's moving so fast. I'm constantly having to resharpen my pencil, and as long as you have a nice sharpener, I'm using this one right here because it collects all my shavings. I have other types of sharpeners. I prefer this sharpener right here. These ones are really nice, and they run about $4 or $5. They're metal. They last forever, but they don't collect their shavings. So unless you have something to put them in, so either times I'll have like a little paper cup, or I'll just have something that I can dump the shavings in. If you're older and you drink coffee, you can grab a coffee filter and use that, and then I'll just take that and throw it into the garbage. But I'm constantly sharpening, and that paper was the wrong paper to grab. I should have grabbed another piece of paper, because that paper landed up smearing some of my, or not smearing, but dirtying up the paper surface. So we're at the 12-minute mark. There's really nothing different that I'm going to be doing. So if you guys want to fast forward and skip through the end, that's fine. I'd watch maybe the last 3 minutes or 2 minutes, because I'm going to be doing my cleanup at the very end and adjusting some of my values at the very end. But this is just a rinse and repeat. You start with one section, and then you just go to the next section, go to the next section, go to the next section, go to the next section. And in doing this, by the time I got to this point, I knew what I was doing when I was rendering, so it got a little bit easier and I was able to move a little bit faster. But this video is somewhere around, I want to say 21 minutes, maybe 22 minutes. And I sped it up 7 times the speed. So you're looking at 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 110, 100. You're looking at 120 minutes, 140 minutes, I'm sorry. So that's it's 2 hours and 20 minutes to do this leaf. So I hope by showing you this and demoing it that, maybe you can pick up a few things. In the past, hopefully you watched some of the other videos already too. Talked about holding the pencil. So you can see how far back I am on the pencil. And I used a lot of hatching and cross hatching to get a lot of this texture in here. It's probably something I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, some of the other techniques. But again, it takes practice. I know no matter where I think I am with rendering or shading or doing pencil work, I always feel that I could get better. I just need to practice more. And I don't think I'll ever be happy. I just try to get better. So the only real thing that I would fix on this one, and again, that's just because I was figuring out how I wanted to attack this. I didn't really have a plan other than get a demo done. I really wish I would have started the bottom, the very first part, the very bottom part on the right, a little bit differently, and had more of the approach I had once I got above it. And I think you could see the difference. One thing I will say is when you're holding a pencil, okay, you're going to notice that majority of the time I'm back here. Sometimes I come back here to get real light values. Majority of the time I'm here. Rarely do I go down here. The other thing, if you look how I hold my pencil, I kind of hold it like if I was holding chopsticks. And a lot of times you'll see me draw like this. So I'll have 2 fingers on and 2 fingers under. There's no right way and how you're going to grip your pencil. To me, it's what you're going to be comfortable drawing with. And however you hold the pencil so you're comfortable drawing, that's the way you hold the pencil. That's the right way. So don't let anybody ever tell you you're holding the pencil wrong if it works for you. Now, if it's not working for you, maybe you need to look at how you're gripping the pencil and making some adjustments. But you're going to notice I got kind of like a funky grip. And here's the thing. My grip was made, like I developed my grip for drawing. And it resulted in me having horrible handwriting. And I always had teachers trying to fix my grip, but I always went back to my drawing grip. And I don't think they ever understood. And I'm talking like my elementary teachers when they wanted me to write better. I don't think they ever understood that writing nice wasn't a priority for me. Being able to draw was a priority for me. And that's how I was going to hold my pencil, the way I could draw the easiest. And looking back, it's probably the reason why my handwriting is so atrocious. So we're getting to the end. You're going to see me finishing it up, adding some final details. Once I get this last section rendered, I'm going to go back over it real quickly and look at different parts. And I gotta be honest, at this point I just wanted to get it done. So one thing I will say, teaching has forced me to get drawings done in a timely fashion. Usually I like to take my sweet time, walk away from a drawing or an illustration or a painting, and then come back to it later. Sometimes I don't come back to it at all if I don't like it. But teaching has definitely forced me to, I gotta get this video done. And this is it. So I hope you really got something out of it, even if you skipped ahead. Just adding some texture into the tree branch, the twig. And then here I am cleaning up certain things that I didn't like. And we're about to finish. At the very end of this video, I took a picture with the hover cam and put it in Photoshop, cleaned it up a bit so you can see it. And here you go.